welcome to a new episode of Story of Success, in which we shed light on successful ventures and individuals. Back after the break, so stay with us. Today's episode is special as it's dedicated to a unique invention. Actually, this invention will help in community service. Actually, it is a tricycle which can be transformed into an ambulance or any other type of community service vehicle. Today, I'm happy to have with me its inventor, Engineer Amr Osman, as well as his partner, CFO, Mr. Mohammed Shady. I'll start first by interviewing Engineer Amr Osman. Mr. Amr, welcome with us. First of all, I'd like to start by asking you about the idea of the tricycle. Did you come up with that idea?
The idea started in 1994, but it was not yet very clear or determined. The idea, or the mother of the idea itself, was how to find a way to create some sort of civil rescue ambulances and firefighting units that could reach into very narrow areas like the slums that's surrounding most of our big cities, like the very small and poor villages. And at the time, what triggered all that was simply me traveling all around the country, and one thing that I kept on seeing over and over, which is people who are in serious need for ambulance could not be rescued simply because the streets are too narrow for the ambulances, or not having ambulances at all in such remote areas. So that what created the whole idea.
The idea of the tricycle came to you in 1994, yet you established your company in 2008. What was the reason behind that?
As usual, at the beginning you could have a very good idea, but you might not have enough funds for it or enough know-how. So you need to go through very long research, and this is what I did, and I did it on my own, so it took quite a long time. But at the very end, it was quite clear what I really want to do, and that's when I contacted my best friend, Mohammed, and we started the whole company soft starting in 2008, and it became a full company in 2011, and that's when we invited in 4 young but extremely talented auto designers, young engineers who are specialized in designing auto units.
Would you please tell us about your company?
First of all, it's a company that I love to always look at it, that it started for a humane project, which is mainly saving the poor. Later on, of course, as we went into extensive research, we found that our products are exactly what's being needed right now, especially in Egypt. We need quite a lot of very specialized auto units that could go into the desert, go into the fields, and could provide all what's really missing in the Egyptian market for transportation.
What about Mohammed, your partner? When you told him about the tricycle, did he hesitate, or was he immediately enthusiastic about it?
Mohammed is a very kind person by nature, so the minute he heard about the difficulties that people are going through, he immediately agreed. Even though it was quite an open idea at the time, but this is what I know. He's always too kind, and things like that moves him quite a lot. Plus that he loves cars and mechanical engineering in general. That's his second hobby. So that's why he was in before I finished even.
You mentioned that you have recruited young engineers. Were there a certain criteria for them to join?
Actually, it was quite a coincidence, because at the time the criteria was to find certified auto engineers was not an easy thing. But I was once watching a program and I found Helwan University School of Engineering team of engineers who were still undergraduates, and they won a very prestigious award in the Formula Student Championship that's held between engineering students around the world. And they did build a Formula Student car. And at that time, the minute I heard about them, I immediately contacted a friend of mine who is a professor at this university. And he managed to link us. At that time, I was so impressed of them that simply I talked to Mohammed, and he immediately said, let's bring them into the company and even give them shares.
Wow.
So they become owners without having to pay anything, of course. Mohammed and I carry the bill, but yet we want them because they are the new generation who's going to definitely bring this company to a very good position.
What are the various uses of the tricycle?
Absolutely. The main concept from the beginning, or the very first items that generated everything, were the ambulance and the firing units. And of course, these are our main target, but yet you cannot found a company based on just two elements. So we had to go through all possibilities and variations. So we found that we can equip it with a freezer, so it could haul food products under perfect conditions anywhere. We could equip it with an elevating platform, so it could be used by maintenance groups for like light poles, what is needed in the civil area. For the firefighting units, we definitely had more than two designs. One mainly to carry a very powerful pump and a very long hose, so it could reach deep into the villages or deep into the slums. And another one to hold the men themselves with their full equipment on. The possibilities are endless, especially that in Egypt we do rely on what we call it slow transportation, which is animal-powered carts. Very soon most of these animals would come out of the whole equation, simply because of not having enough space, not having enough green to feed them, and so on. And of course, even in the small villages, the average Egyptian villager house that used to have a place for the animals, that turned into a multi-story building, so there is no more place. So the easiest way to replace all the animal-powered carts in Egypt in general is by the tricycles. They are far cheaper than the average cars, and they are extremely well designed in a manner that it will specifically serve in conditions.
What about its width?
Legally, according to the Egyptian standard, it could get as wide as 145 centimeters in total width, which is far more than enough than we need for the ambulance. What we do need for the ambulance is the length. 5 years ago, the standard used to allow the length up to 4 meters. For a reason I really don't know what, there was another standard that was introduced 2 years ago, limiting the length to 3 meters and 30 centimeters, which that pushed the ambulance out of the equation. But yet, this is the standard for the commercial units. So we are hoping that we'll have negotiations with the government to allow us to go back to the 4 meters long tricycles, specifically and only for the reason of the ambulance. The stretcher itself needs almost 2 meters, and the bed of our tricycle provides that perfectly.
You mentioned that it can be up to 3 or 4 meters. Would that mean that we'll need to add more tires? Would it still be a tricycle?
It will remain a tricycle, that's the beauty of having good engineers with you, so we can always do our design in a perfect way. The length is just to accommodate the stretcher. Is not for any commercial use. It wouldn't carry more weight, so it wouldn't throw the CG off or anything. So it's a very stable unit. All this length, the extra 60 centimeters we're looking for, we're going to negotiate the government for, is just to accommodate the stretcher. But there's enough place for the stretcher, for the paramedic, and for more or less all the equipment needed, keeping in mind that this ambulance is meant mainly to bring the medical condition from wherever it is to the highway where a big ambulance would be waiting, so it could take the patient to a bigger hospital.
You must have faced many challenges. Would you talk to us about some of them?
Unfortunately, the hardest of moments I've always had a problem with was always the bureaucracy. But aside from that, it was a very challenging achievement. And to build the prototype, it's quite a hard task in Egypt, simply because we don't have all the infrastructure, the industrial infrastructure that could provide you with everything. So it was quite a challenge to develop lots of things and to increase the Egyptian product within our tricycle to almost 70%. So it's only the engine, the traction units, which we don't produce in Egypt at all. We hope that if when we start our production, we're going to have like small workshops to provide all the small items that we need.
What about the materials? Are they expensive?
No, the materials are not expensive. It's mostly steel in various grades. What's truly expensive, and then the rest is all our process of manufacturing that allows us to turn all these simple materials into a final product at the end.
The project took almost 4 years. Now, after the 4 years, what are your feelings about it?
I'm ecstatic, extremely proud, and unbelievably happy. The reviews I hear from the professors of engineering where our unit is being tested are quite breathtaking. I never thought that we will be that much of a success and will be greeted that highly by whomever sees or experiences our work, comes back with a magnificent feedback. So it's a lifetime dream is coming true.
What about your ambitions?
My ambition is not simply to serve the poor people of Egypt, but I would love to extend that to Africa as well. We're part of the African continent, and they have the same problems we have. And this unit is designed for us and for them in Africa. And I wish one day that our engineers will design the first Egyptian car. Of course, I hope that in the near future the company would expand and we would invite more young engineers and benefit from all the brilliant ideas they have.
How do you plan for it to spread in Egypt?
Okay, first of all, my partner Mohammed is in charge of all the logistics and all the finances and all the documentation, which is the part that I'm not good at any level. My best thing is that I'm hoping very soon we'll start production, and I will be in charge of the production itself. But my ultimate goal is the R&D, the research and development. So we will keep on developing it and modifying it till we come to a perfect point. And for sure, we wish to introduce brand new products that are specifically addressing Egyptian problems as well.
Finally, I'd like to ask you about your most recent projects.
Okay, first of all, again, one of the biggest problems now in Egypt is the traffic. So we do have two brilliant ideas. One for mostly those who cannot really ride motorcycles or don't have the talent for motorcycles. We're coming up with a trike, which is a motorcycle based on 3 wheels, and I think this would be very suitable for young ladies as well. So instead of having to own a car, you can go down below that, have a trike, and enjoy the air running through your hair. The other thing that we're quite ecstatic about, that very soon we'll start designing things for people who have certain difficulties, physical difficulties. So I think the trike for the paraplegics or people who are suffering from paralysis should be coming very soon on paper first, and then I will build then we'll go through the exams as we did with the first one. But for the paraplegics, for the people who have any physical difficulties, definitely we're going to serve in this area. As well as the caravans, we are running a brand new experience here in Egypt, which is the mini caravan that could be towed by a private car. You could carry horses, you could carry motorcycles, you could carry even stuff from any point to another. There are a few small items that I think the traffic police would be very happy with, which is a miniature towing unit that could be towed by like a quad runner. So in this very heavy traffic, if a car breaks down, you don't need to bring a giant car to take it out. This miniature unit could just pull it into a safe place, then the bigger cars could come and serve that. And I believe having Muhammad as a partner, he was a race driver, very successful race driver for long. And our engineers who are very energetic, I think we're gonna go into the dune buggies and units that could go and challenge the desert.
Engineer Mr. Amr Osman, thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you very much. This was a great honor, and I wish one day we invite you for the new product.
Joining me now is another important figure who made this invention come true. Joining me now is CFO, Mr. Mohammed Abu Shadi. Mr. Mohammed, welcome with us. Into finance. What made you agree and accept Amr's proposal to go into an engineering venture?
It was a great idea I saw from my best friend Amr. I love mechanics and cars. This is my hobby, and it was in the same field, more or less. It's a tricycle. With the unique payload and specifications that solve a lot of slums problem. So it was a humanly decision, more than the feasibility.
What was your reaction about Amr's dream? Because he had this idea in 1994. You started working on it in 2000 almost and 8. Now, what did you tell him in the beginning?
Amr has this idea a long time ago, early 1995 or 94.
Yeah.
But he really talked to me about it, and let's put it on paper and let's have it work. Mm-hmm. In 2009, mm-hmm. 2008, mm-hmm. At that time, I listened to him at the first maybe 1 or 2 times. Mm-hmm. I felt it's crazy idea, that it needs a lot of resources and many things, and involved with a lot of people and a lot of technical issues and financial requirements. Then I told him, let's think about it, or let's study it, and let's have. This is how crazy thing happens.
Yeah.
You have a crazy idea that put it into action, but this idea was too humanly.
Yeah, so it was humanitarian.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's we start put it into action.
Would you talk to us about the visibility study you had to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
As any project or any new project that you need to have a visibility study to test the marketing acceptance and what share that you can get from this market, and the financial feasibility and the initial investment required, and all of these things to see that if we are capable or can do it or not.
What were the challenges you faced?
To have the market idea and to have the market test and the market research, because the market research you are asking about things that the market segmentation that we are targeting was a very simple people who can afford to pay for tricycle. To convince them with a project or a product that they cannot see, and what is the benefit of having a payload for the tricycle more than that they have, and to test the market for an ambulance tricycle. It's quite challenging.
Who are your target customers?
We have targeted customers. Of course, the first is the government, NGOs, and at the end, the cargo port, which is the people, the simple people who needs a tricycle for cargo and for.
What was the next step?
Our next step is put it into action, because now we are in the last stage in the university to test the mechanical verification and mechanical qualifications of the trike, and the approvals from the government. Then put it into production.
Since you love car and racing, have you considered or have you tried the tricycle?
We cannot go to the street with it because it's not licensed. It doesn't have license yet. But I tried it
within the premises.
Yes, but it was great. I have a motorcycle also, so I know a lot about motorcycles. So I enjoyed it. It's a different category because I drove another one, irregular one from the what we have in the market, and I drove this one. We have a different product.
What about the best moment?
When we have changes in the regulations about the specifications of the unit, that it was at the beginning 4 meters, and we built the unit according to the old specifications, 4 meters, and it was narrower. It was the maximum width 1.2. Now it's 1.45, and and shorter length 3.3. We had to redesign the whole product.
Wow.
So it was, we get demotivated at that time, but soon to get the team back and how to work again and how to redesign, how to go with the same spirit and get the product, another product actually.
That must have been hard.
Not really, because all of us love this product and love what we are doing, and they are our partner in this. All of us are partner in this company, so it's our baby.
What about the best moment?
When I drive it.
When you
When I drove it.
When you drove it.
Yes.
How did you feel?
Amazing that it's mine and it's working. I will tell you something about a funny
Yes,
thing
please.
that the first try we did, when we tried it, it's going backward. Because that was a real embarrassing that we did everything and it's going backward. So what we do wrong. So but it was just a shift should be changed. So it's,
That's great. What is your dream for the tricycle project?
my dream for this project is to see everyone in slums area can use it, to see it used in the slums, in the garbage car, as a garbage cargo maintenance unit for the narrow streets and for the tough roads and tough. It can be used or even for in the mud. You can use it. It's a really unique design. To see it useful, and what really I want to see it, it's to export it to the whole of Africa, because this is gonna be reflect on the Egyptian economy and on our economy, of course, on our financial.
Yeah. Have you started doing visibility studies and researches about marketing it abroad?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not in this stage. Yeah. First, to market inside in Egypt and have the planet, the production planet life, then we go to the next stage.
But it's still one of your dreams.
Yes.
Well,
and it's doable because we have a very big market, I know, in Sudan and Nigeria, and a lot of African countries need this product.
I hope all your dreams come true.
Thank you.
Mr. Mohammed Abu Shadi, thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.